I don't know how to do this. I do podcasts. I don't know what I'm doing right now. Like, you're only a paper girl for a year, but you're a paper girl forever.
Hey book nerds! Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to have a special video with Joanna from Literature Podcast. This month we did a buddy read with Girls of Paper and Fire, and she's here to talk about the book with me. Spoiler alert, we will be delving completely into the book on our opinions, thoughts, and likes and dislikes of the characters, the plot, the writing, all of that kind of stuff. So if you haven't read the book or don't want spoilers, please just stop watching and come back later on once you've read the book, and you can agree with us, disagree with us, rant, rave, whatever. All right, so let's get started.
Oh, let's see. Do we want to start with the casts?
Sure, let's start with the characters.
Yeah. So I liked the different casts of characters. I liked the paper cast, steel cast, moon cast, and how much of a division we were able to see with the characters and how much that affected their personality and how they interacted with each other. Like, I really enjoyed that. The main character I liked, but I didn't like her as much as some of the side characters.
I agree on the cast thing. I thought it was an interesting take on political and social aspects. I thought it was interesting how the more demon or different they were, the better they were, whereas in like everyday society, the more different you are, the worse you are on the hierarchy. So I thought that was kind of interesting how it was flipped. I also thought it was interesting how even though some people were paper cast, they were still held in higher regards than others, so it still was kind of a conflict within themselves, which, you know, was explained later on in the book, but it still was interesting to see how, I can't ever say that girl's last name. Ren's family was very, very high, almost equal to the king, and she was paper cast, so that was interesting. As far as the main character, I thought she was kind of flat. Like,
she was. Like, I feel like the only thing I got from her was her acknowledging things about other characters.
There wasn't any character growth at all. You kind of knew what her goal was in the beginning, and it was still, I mean, I get that it's supposed to be the exact same goal at the end, but like, she didn't adapt in any way. She didn't really learn anything. I mean, she failed, so.
Yeah, like, I feel like the only thing that she started to care about was Ren. The only development I really saw was in the beginning. She was super, like, she just always thought about her family nonstop. And then by the end, she's barely thinking of them.
Yes,
like,
I thought about that too. I was like, okay, what happened? And then she's like, oh, there they are. And old me would have been like, run! But now I'm like, like, no, it didn't make sense.
No, like, I can see it being different because now Ren is involved and she has a totally different life than she had. Like, she's bound to have maybe less attachment to them, but it was just such a flip.
And the fact that she left without them, like, this whole thing was about saving them, and you just left them there. I don't care who was dragging me. I'd have been like, no, we're going to get them. Well, not parents, but dad and
Tien,
yeah.
Yeah, like, the whole thing that she thought about in the beginning was when General Yu took her, he threatened her with her family. That's why she stayed and did everything that she did.
And for someone who was so worried about her family, I get that she would have freaked out the first night with the king, but I thought it was really improbable for someone who was that worried about their family to deny him a second and then third time?
See, the first time is when she freaked out and ran out of the room.
Uh-huh.
The second time she tried to poison him?
Yes. And and then he called her one more time after that, right?
I feel like he called, did she go? Yeah. I feel like she was going to be called after the party that she was going to assassinate him at.
I think that was it, yeah.
So it never officially, it did kind of start, but they were out
when he found out that they were together, that's when he was like, okay, now we're going to kill everybody.
Yeah. Okay. She didn't have a whole lot of character development. And then Ren didn't either. I feel like we just kind of learned more about her.
I think that the only character development we got out of Ren was that she softened up a little bit. Like, because she was very cold towards everyone in the beginning, and then she kind of softened up because she fell for Lei. She kind of softened up to everyone because it opened her up a little bit.
Yeah. I feel like the character that I saw with the most development was Zell. Like, I know that she's been there for how long? Years.
Yeah, her whole 18 years or however that was a really sad story. And then it also kind of made me wonder if, correct me if I'm wrong, but if Zell's mom, who was a human courtesan, got pregnant by a mooncast person, wouldn't Zell be mooncast of some kind? And they were just like, yeah, here's a paper cast courtesan. Like, that kind of didn't make sense genetically to me, but maybe I'm missing something.
Yeah, I have no idea. I was wondering that too. I'm like, is it recessive?
Yeah, like it just, does it have to be with another mooncast for them to be like, woohoo, here's some horns or something?
Like tiny nips. I didn't understand that either, but regardless, I'm glad she was in the story because
I loved her.
I loved that she let, oh my gosh, Leia look at her fam, like try to find her mother, but I did not expect her to come in at the end the way she did at all. I did not expect her to be the one like coming at the king. I thought it would be Ren.
Yeah. When I read the line about do it or whatever, I thought it was going to be Ren. And then I was like, Zell, seriously? Now we gotta kill Zell? Why? What? Like, that was my like what the fuck moment in the entire book. Like, even at the past the very end, I was like, why did you have to kill Zell? Like, she was gorgeous. I loved her.
Yeah, she's definitely my favorite character out of everybody. Characters I didn't like. I didn't like Blue that much, but I do feel very sorry for her character still. Like, I can understand why she's the way she is and why she's so spiteful. I guess that makes me like her a little bit, but
I agree on Blue. I understand her. I don't necessarily want to root for her, but I understand why she is the way she is. And like, you could almost see moments of her wanting to be a better person than she was, but her anger and her spite, and then the fact that her only friend, the only person that liked her and the whole thing, got kicked out, and then here's a little bitch that she don't like and getting away with it behind everyone's back. So I get it, but yeah, it was fucked.
Yeah, I felt bad for her. The whole scene with Mariko like fucked me up a little bit, like what they were gonna do to her. Like, what did they write on her forehead? Like,
I think they wrote slut on her forehead.
It was something very direct.
I should have marked that, but I was listening to it on an audiobook. So, and I feel like the narrator really did a good job with everything. I would have still loved the book reading it physically, but I feel like that the narrator kind of brought it to life in a way that maybe just reading it wouldn't have. Her accent and, you know, the way she said words and things like that really, really made a difference for me.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I feel like she kind of put like personality into the characters, because I had the problem with, I felt like Chenna and a lot of the other characters kind of blended in for me. I was like, oh fuck. This has one trait and this person has something, and they just didn't matter at a certain point. And she helped them stand out for me a little bit.
I agree, because the twins and one other girl that kind of, Jenna, Chenna, and one other one, I can't even remember her name. They kind of,
I don't know.
they kind of all blended together. Lil was her maid or servant.
Yeah. But
and
eventually,
I also thought it was odd that, like, partially through the book, she just kind of disappeared, and there was another maid, and I was like, well, what happened to Lil? And then at the party at the end, like, here pops up Lil again. Like, what happened? Where'd she go? Like,
right.
no one's even gonna ask.
Like, started to forget about her. Thought she died in the background and we didn't know.
Yeah, I really was like, well, what the hell?
Because I felt like she'd be a bigger part in the beginning, and then nothing.
Yeah, it just kind of like faded away. And it wasn't even a fade away. It was just like an abrupt, like, chapter. This chapter, Lil was here. This chapter, some girl named Jade or something like that was taking her away.
I did really enjoy the story overall. I really liked the descriptions of, I guess, women's court. It sounded very beautiful. I mean, it sounded like a beautiful castle. I say looked. But I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say exactly.
That's all right.
But just the descriptive words she used, I felt like I could kind of see where they were. Like, it was beautiful, but at the same time, there's still all of the dread for being a Demon King's concubine against your will. But
yeah. I mean, it's true. It's a prison. It's a beautiful prison, but it's still a prison. I think my favorite part of the whole women's court area thing was it in the temple, the leaves that had their names written on them. Mm-hmm. That was my favorite part. I was just like, oh, I was crying along with them. It was really pretty.
Yeah, just gorgeous.
The whole book was very beautifully written. I don't normally like books that are written frivolously, but it worked for this book. It really kind of weaved in how things can be beautiful but horrible at the same time.
Yeah, like, it's not like they were prisoners in a horrible place. It's, you're stuck in beautiful clothing and you have maids and you're pampered, but you still don't have your freedom.
And they have, what was shocking to me, I mean, I get giving them uncomfortable beds so that they don't have lovers in their room, but they had maids, and yet they lived in, like, prison cells with a window and a cot. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of where it hit me, like, the hardest every time she would talk about going back to her room. Like, she's wearing these beautiful gowns and going to these beautiful parties, and then she sleeps in a prison cell.
Luckily, they only slept there. It was the only thing where I was like, well, at least you don't spend much time there, because they just worked them to death on classes and training.
I was like, I didn't think it would be that hard to sleep with someone, but okay.
I mean, learning how to even be a lady in the court and how you're supposed to be presentable. But I also thought it was weird that paper cast families really wanted their daughters to be in that position. Like, I get the luxury part, you're going to get riches from it, but I can't imagine being like, bye, daughter.
The part of me wonders if it's just because they're so used to it that it's like, we can either make the best of it or we can sob and be miserable and horrible. And, like, I mean, as fucked up as it sounds, in the beginning, I was kind of like, I mean, you're sleeping with a dude for a year and then you're done. But then when they explained, that they then got married off to a duke or a colonel or a general or
just like
a
general courtesan for whoever he wants you to.
Yeah. Like then I was like, I mean, you did all that to them and then they still don't get to go home. Like, what kind of person does that? Even a demon. Like, that's really, really brutal.
Yeah, like, you're only a paper girl for a year, but you're a paper girl forever.
And then to have, I mean, I don't know, it gives me chills. The carving into her head, that is,
yeah,
that was more graphic than the scenes with the king. Like, between anything that happened in that book, that one is the one that makes my stomach knot, because I could imagine, like, that, how bad it would hurt, and then to just stand there and watch it and not be able to do anything. Ugh.
Yeah. I felt very bad for Blue in that situation too, because she was just calling out for her, and Blue couldn't do anything without risking her own life.
I mean, props for being able to write that, because that was hard to read. I can't imagine having to pull that emotion out of yourself to be able to write that. Like, ooh.
Nope.
What did you think about the king in general?
The king. Okay, I don't like him, but he did have way more personality than pretty much everyone else.
Right?
Like him having the obsession with like being cursed, and him having the obsession with not having a name. It gave him a lot of character and like what drives him.
I thought that the king was the most in-depth character besides Zell. I thought we were going to get like a plain abusive demon, whatever, but he really did open himself up to those girls. And I don't know why he would, because they are going to be going on often marrying others and they know those secrets. But it was like he was just desperate for some kind of love that he wasn't going to get from anyone else. And I thought that was interesting that his whores basically are the girls that he opened up to.
Yeah, like his personal therapists that he
Yeah.
sleeps with.
That's exactly what it was. Aoki. The fact that she fell so madly in love with him really, really shocked me, because she was the most afraid out of all of them. But at the same time, the fact that he opened up to his paper girls, I think, is why she fell in love with him, because she was expecting something cruel and vicious and blah, 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 blah. And I think with her, the king was not. And so it kind of ended up being like a Beauty and the Beast, Stockholm Syndrome kind of love thing.
I felt really bad for Aoki, because it's, you know, that's not what's best for her, and she's gonna get hurt no matter what, but she's not gonna take it. She's just gonna be angry with you if you try.
Yep.
But I don't know. I'll be interested to see how her character progresses after all this happens. Like when the next book starts, like what is going to happen?
I thought the same thing, because they were really good friends. And despite everything, Aoki really tried to support the relationship, even though she thought it was horribly wrong and that she was betraying the king. And by not saying anything to the king, she was betraying her love to the king. But now that, you know, the love of her life has been murdered by her best friend, like, now, yeah, I'm really interested to see where they're going to take that. I hope that she comes back. I hope they don't just leave her in the wayside, because that would be really, really disappointing.
Like Lil for
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye, Alicia. See you later. Yeah, I'm interested to see.
What were your thoughts on Madame Himura?
Oh man, I was conflicted on her. Part of me loved her because she reminds me of Abby from Dance Moms, and I love Dance Moms. I thought that was hilarious. I know that's probably not where she got her inspiration, but Abby's got that, like, I hate you kind of attitude, and I thought that was hilarious. I was just imagining a fat Abby with wings and a beak wobbling around. But as far as, like, the character herself, I think that she was just a monster, honestly. I really do.
I think she is, but the scene before Leia's first night with the king, it showed that there was something else in her, and then that was all we got to see of it. And I want to know a little bit more of her story, because I want to know how far has she been pushed to be who she is now.
Yeah, I would definitely be interested to see what her story was, what the king did to her, or what happened for her to be in charge of them and act like that. I thought that the scene before the night with the king was more her trying to get, how do I say this? Not like manipulation. I took it as a total manipulation in her personality, trying to play on what she could sense out of the others. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. But I don't know. She's an interesting character. I want to see where she goes. I want to see where everyone's going in the next book. Like, this was just the build-up book. Here's the world. Here's what's happening. There was like the slight action at the beginning and at the very end.
I mean, at its core, it was a love story. So I give the action a pass in, like, the slowness, because I do get that it was a love story. Would like to see some characters just go away. That would be fine with me. Also confused as to why, like, the characters that helped them get away were, they seemed kind of random at times. Like Kenzie, he made sense.
Mhm.
He was in the guard, he was the king's right hand man, etc., etc. That totally made sense. But like the random owl warrior person, like that,
At the very, very end, at the very right moment.
yeah, that kind of was weird. And the fact that all of a sudden the king has a whole army of these owls, like that was never mentioned. So I kind of thought that stuff like that thrown in at the end was kind of off kiltering for me. It didn't make a lot of sense. It was almost like just convenient.
Yeah, like a last thought. Don't want to change anything, but we have to make this work.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know. I'm kind of like, I anticipate not knowing things about the resistance just because Ren's the one who's in the resistance and she's very secretive about everything that she's doing, even to Leia. So we're going to get different, we're only going to have her limited perspective of what she knows.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, like that seemed way too much. If that's the most powerful mooncast or bird forms are the most powerful, I think that was mentioned. I'm not 100% sure. I feel like it would be more known if there was a giant army of them.
Yeah, like I felt like, yeah, see, I actually just turned to that page. I'm going to butcher this, so I apologize in advance, everyone. Do not kill me. The Sumi? It's TSUME, but anyway, that is the King's Elite Bird Warriors. I mean, I don't remember hearing about them previously, unless I'm completely just blanked on that, which I guess is possible. But I really don't remember hearing about them before that. And so I thought it was really odd that all of a sudden this whole band of bird warriors just swoops, because it really did seem like the owl was going to come down and get him and then woo, you know what I mean? It seemed like that's what was going to happen while everyone was fighting. So it all just seemed kind of too convenient to suddenly have this fight in the sky happening. But at the same time, in that world, it does make sense to have a whole army of flying eagles. So I get both sides. I get it. And the fact that they kind of sexualized the demons was interesting for me. It almost reminded me of like the furry world, where people dress up in like animal costumes and go walk around on leashes and stuff, which is cool if that's what you're into. But that's just kind of what the dog the wolves and the antelopes and stuff kind of reminded me of that world. So it was at times a little hard for me not to snicker when they're talking about how sexual a wolf's fur is. Like I was like, come on, it's fur. What, come on.
Yeah, it's like a totally different world. To think that skin would be the odd thing, or
Yeah.
that would be the fetish because it was a paper girl fetish or something.
What did you think about the Knights with the King? How did you feel about how those were portrayed and what happened in them?
Well, we don't get too many perspectives other than our main characters. The second night that she was with him, that was really hard to read.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to reread that section, honestly, if I ever reread it. But I don't know. The first time he was trying to talk to her and he's trying to be nice, I'm like, this is weird. but I honestly didn't expect her to just freak out and run off. I expected her to resist a little bit, but not panic and leave. I want to know how it is with other girls, if he ever gets that brutal. I think it is mentioned that he got more aggressive at what point in the book.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Mostly it just sounds horrifying to me.
Yeah, I agree that I would like to have had other perspectives. I kind of didn't like that the girls didn't really talk to each other about what happened, because you would think that as the only ones going through it at that time, that they would need some kind of therapy within each other. And I mean, I know that it says like they can't talk about what goes on to other people and blah 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 blah, but I mean, you're essentially being raped, so you would think that you would need to talk to each other at the very least, just vagueness, but it was like just a wall. And I thought that was kind of horrifying, in how the characters were able to keep it to themselves in that way. I mean, I know there were repercussions of that. Mariko, Aoki's breakdown, Blue's breakdown. I mean, there were repercussions of it, but it really just surprised me that everyone stayed so quiet. Um, the second night, yeah, there was a reference when they brought her home that they said that he had gotten that rough with girls before. But I also would like to know within that group how he treated them, because that's why I think that the girls have different feelings about him. Like I said, I think that he's probably super sweet with Aoki because she's all fawning over him and whatever. So he probably doesn't have to do much to make her do what he wants. Whereas, Lei, he was vicious with, because how dare her deny him. And Blue, I would really like to know how he interacted with Blue. That's the one that I am most interested with, because she basically was just there for his taking, even though her whole bitterness with the whole thing behind it. I don't know. I agree. It's hard to say with just that one perspective. I think there was a hell of a lot of missed opportunity in that whole scene, though. They got the word to Kenzie to get the poison out, but I would have thought, nah, the king already found it. Like, that seemed too improbable for him not to have found it, especially if he's ripping her clothes off like that.
Like, yeah, even if he's drunk, I think he would notice something like that, being in that position, being as paranoid as he is.
Yes, I thought with how paranoid he is that everyone's out to get him. She has a sash of herbs or whatever tied inside her clothes. One rip, something falls out. Okay, yeah, no, that doesn't get overlooked. That seemed a little too weird for me.
Yeah, and for it to, I don't know how long she was gone for the room before Kenzo went and got the herbs she left, but someone would have found them by then. I'm assuming if she's as beat up as she is, the room is probably torn up as well, and there's probably someone immediately fixing it and cleaning it up.
That was my thoughts too. I mean, she had to have been out, okay, maybe a day, and then she had to heal a little bit longer. It took them at least a day for her to wake up and talk to her. Someone would have been cleaning. The king would have been pissed, so he would have been probably tearing shit up still. So either way, it would have been found before then. Yeah, that didn't make any sense. No. It was a good idea, but I knew from this. You didn't think it was a good idea?
I didn't. I just think that going in there, you don't know what's going to happen. There's too many varying factors that could go wrong, and you're putting way too much on the line when people are telling you, wait, we've been planning for fucking years.
Yeah.
And to do something so drastic without telling anybody was not a good idea.
Yeah, that's true. I can see that. I thought that because she mentions her parent or her dad and Tien when she's doing that, I thought that we were going to like get more of the original character back, which is why I was like, okay, I can get on board with this, because she's thinking about her parents, she's acting, she's doing what she said she came here to do, and then she fucks it all up. I'm like, how? Like, you just shut your mouth. You had so many opportunities. Just shut your mouth. And
I think it's just a continuing thing for her to just keep fucking it up. I mean, she tripped into what was the first event that she went to, where she had her
into the water.
Dress. Yeah, she just trips going into there. Doesn't do too well at her classes until they tell her, okay, you need to like fucking get on this.
Yeah.
You know, and then she doesn't kill the king either. It's a continuing trend. I think that is her part of her personality. Trial and error, trial and error, trial and error.
I don't think she really realizes how real it was until the very end, when like she actually has to kill him. Like, even when he tells her like, Ren's not coming back, you have to do this, or we miss our chance and everything's gone to shit. She doesn't get how legitimate it is until, even when she loses the knife, and like that, I'm like, how do you lose the knife? You had one job. But I think it does go back to her personality with the clumsiness and trial and error shit. But I'm like, you had one job to keep a knife hidden, and you couldn't even do that. Come on, like, get it together, girl, get it together. And I thought for sure, okay, she'll get it together after this. She'll get it together after this. No, she never does. But at the very end, like, you can feel everything like coming together for her, and her realizing that my parents are there, and the king is here, and the queen is there, and all of this is like real and happening. If I don't do it now, then I'm gonna die. My parents are gonna die. Ren's gonna die. Everyone's gonna die. Like, it's not until everybody's life is in jeopardy that it's real for her. If she had gotten on board like 3 events ago, everything, well, the book would have been way shorter, but
yeah. She's like a New Year's resolution that just like never follows through. But like, I don't know. I feel like she just, at the end, when they're like, you're going to have to kill the king, she was really annoying, because it was like she was just hoping, Ren will jump in and save me at any moment. Something will happen. Granted, things did. But
yeah,
it's not the kind of mentality you want to have going in, I'm going to kill the Demon King, the ruler of all of this land.
I mean, and people did jump in and did help her, but it really still did come down to her. And the fact that he's not dead, that pisses me off, only because how did she not kill him when she stabs him in the exact spot that he, like, how? I understand he's a demon, but no. I don't know. That really made me mad.
It's just bullshit.
It is. It's straight up bullshit. And I wish that they had killed that damn fox. Like, I hate her. I hated her from the beginning.
Oh, I forgot her name.
I don't remember her name either, but she always called her the fox, and so that's what stuck in my head.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to see her in the next book, but we will.
Yeah.
But yeah, the very end when it's like, oh, he's alive, I was like,
Nausea. That's her name. Nausea. Have I been saying Kenzie? His name's Kenzo. Have I been saying Kenzie? I think I've been saying Kenzie. Wow. I am not doing good today. Sorry, everybody.
There's a lot of names in this book. It's fine. And you read a lot of books. I've said Leia like a million times, and that's from Kiss of Deception, so it's fine.
I know that their names are Lei, Kenzo, Ren, Naja, the King, who has no name, Blue.
I like his name. His name's fine, because I don't have to remember it. Like, you don't even have to worry about fucking up his name, because
right?
he doesn't have one.
That was really sad, though. Like, that made me feel like that bad for him. Because who the heck doesn't get the courtesy of being called by their actual name? Like, that really does make me feel bad for him.
Yeah.
But that's about it.
Yeah, to think that his dad is the Demon King, and then his son will be the Demon King.
And then, like, the queen, she's not conceiving because the king has blank bullets, but it's her fault because no one can know that the king has blank bullets. Like, that whole thing made me feel really sorry for the queen. Like, that's not her fault, and these people are making it out like it's her fault. Yeah, that really made me feel bad for her. Like, she's just a victim in all of this too, even though she acts high and mighty, and like, she's just a victim in all of it too.
Yeah, and even if she was at fault, you can't fault somebody for that because that's not a decision that you get to make when you're born.
Yeah.
Your fertility is based on chance.
But, you know, fantasy worlds don't run like that, so.
Well, it is also, I feel like even in the real world, we still see people that do the same thing.
Yeah.
It's just a fault of the human race or the demon races too in this case.
It's a fault of every race, of every kind of species, of everything.
Unless you're a dog and not the demon kind of dog. You're just like a pet dog.
Like a puppy.
Yes. They're pure gold. Everyone else is shit.
I wonder what kind of pets you would have in a world like that.
Like, if you're a steel cast part wolf, are you going to be like, I'm going to get a cat just to be contradicting, and then you're allergic? Or you have like, I want to chase my cat and I don't know why.
That would be hilarious. She should totally add pets in the next time. That would be awesome.
So, I have a great idea. This is how we get rid of the Demon King. Just a red tart. Come get it.
In front of a cliff. Let him go over. We're good. I totally did think about that a couple of times. Like, sounds like a bull to me. Let's go.
That needs to be like a fan fiction from someone who can write it, because it's not me.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to do that justice, but that would be hilarious, like, for sure.
Alternate ending. After all this, after years, this is what the Resistance finds. Red sheets.
Despite the characters being a little flat, I did not stop this book until it was finished. Like, literally every waking moment I could, I was listening to the book. So I definitely give it 5 stars. So it was a very interesting read. It was something that kept me hooked, which not very many books can keep me going for that long, that quickly.
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed it. I gave it a 5 out of 5 too. Like, I had a lot of problems with it, but the storyline, how interesting it is, some of the characters, like, they just kept me going. Like, I have to know what happens to them. And now I'm sad that we have to wait probably a year, I'm assuming, for the next one.
It came out in October of last year, so yeah, it's probably not going to come out until around that time this year, if not later. And that's a long time to wait. Oh my goodness. But yeah, it'll definitely be on my to buy list as soon as the pre-orders go up, because it was good. All right, so let's go ahead and introduce the next book for our next month's buddy read.
All right, next month we're going to do A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Bridget Kemmerer. Super excited.
I am too. I am super excited. I'm super, super, super excited to read this book. So if you guys want to follow along with us or join in, we start on the 5th of every month, so that'll be March 5th. You can follow on our Instagrams, or you can click subscribe on my link, and I will give you all the details before we start. All right, so that was it for our first video.
All right, see you later.
Bye, book nerds.